Alrighty.
Yes, sir.
So
Hello. Are we live? Yes.
we are live.
And also, the message is on in the community.
Sick. Cool. Let's wait for a few people to join. I would love to see again some hellos. We should make this a standard procedure so that everybody who joins automatically sends a little hello to the chat.
Did we actually send an email out for the call now for the announcement, or is it just pinned?
I pinned.
It's only pinned, like there's no mail to all the people, all right?
Yeah, it doesn't ask me to send it as a.
Yeah, because I see there was one message some days ago, or maybe admins can send it. Try again in 84 hours. So someone did it in the last 24 hours. I don't know which person did it, but yeah, whatever. So
Okay.
yeah, maybe just one thing, Manuela. Sometimes we have to a little bit keep track on that we don't use it too often, right? Because then we message all the time all the people with news to use this update function on send email to all members only when it's really something special and we something announce something special,
Mhm.
right? Otherwise, it's a little bit too spammy.
Yep.
Yes. Cool.
Alrighty.
Anton is here. Hello, Anton. I think we can start with the creators call. Welcome everybody who is joining. Tasdik is there. It's also going to be there. I am very excited. First of all, first things first, we are about to hit 300 members in Motion Creators. I just saw that.
I think we're gonna do it tomorrow.
So
Tomorrow you're
probably
gonna
gonna
hit
hit
it.
300 members tomorrow. So that I think is going to be big milestone, big achievement. So we can all, pop some champagne bottles. No, but that's really cool. A lot more people are joining. A lot more people are introducing themselves. I think with the new trial feature, we are giving a lot more people a chance to see what the community is like, to see what they're about to expect, and again with the new update that we're making for Motion Creators 2.0, again coming April 1st, we'll have a lot of new stuff restructured in a better way, so the community is going to be a lot more straightforward, a lot more new modules coming, including a Blender module, including a compositing module that I think is going to be a big value, because I think this is where a lot of people struggle with, actually, is trying to blend real and CG stuff together. And this is called compositing. So we're going to have a separate module for that, for After Effects, but also for DaVinci. So everybody who's using DaVinci can watch that. Same with After Effects, because at the end of the day, compositing is, basic understanding of compositing is like the same for every software. But I think a lot of people will get a lot of value from that, me myself included, because I do struggle with the compositing a lot. So Carlo is going to do that probably for us, with us. So yes, just a quick heads up on what's coming. Again, quick reminder.
So excited for this update, man. So excited.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be
This
sick.
will be nice.
Again, quick reminder, we still have obviously we still do, but we have the affiliate feature. So everybody who thinks someone might be interested in joining Motion Creators can use their personal affiliate link and earn 40% of their subscription. As long as they're part of the community, you will get 40% of what they're paying each month, just as a passive income, just by recommending them through the link, through your personal link that you can find in the community section. So yes. Did we cover everything? Oh yeah, job board, please, guys, use the job board. We just had a call today with one of our clients. We recorded a testimonial with one of our clients who put a job offer into the community, who found 2 freelancers and is now working with them on a regular basis. So the jobs are there and they're real. So please feel free to apply for them. Send your portfolio, send your best work, and then we're working on improving them. We're also working on having a certified, motion creators board that will pitch to businesses. So please, when you post cool stuff in the community, we see it and we collect all the cool stuff and we gather it in one place. So everybody, who's really into it, who's really good, we see a lot of value in that person. We collect it, we pitch it, and we put it to the community, and we will release this feature together with all the other features coming April 1st. Cool. I think that
he actually said that he was really impressed how good their kind of portfolios were from the people that applied for the jobs. So don't be shy. Just reach out to the people and just apply for the jobs, because we don't know when they answer, but like we discovered today, they are happy that someone is reaching out, and then if you have luck,
Yes.
then you get a nice job and maybe a recurring job. Like, just do
Again,
it.
and yeah, and the more jobs you apply, because we've had that question come up so many times, like, what, how, am I good enough to apply for a job, blah, blah, blah. You have nothing to lose when you apply for a job. Worst thing is they don't reply. And if that's not the
Right.
case, you have lost 5 minutes to apply for that job. If you get it, you know, you never know. So make sure to apply for that. And yeah, that I think is the basic updates. We have a lot of new stuff coming, but we'll update you as soon as that is in place. Cool. That is it regarding for the updates. We have a topic to talk about today, correct?
Yeah, based on the poll that we had last week, this is the second interesting one for our community. And so obviously we're going to have poll every 2 weeks just to also have other topics coming. If you have something to propose, guys, feel free to write in the community and we can consider that as part of the next topics for the next weeks. And so far today we have communicate with confidence because most of the people were interested on focusing on handling client feedback, objection, and revisions, generally speaking. And so these are the main ones. So if you want, you can go as a free path, or I also have 10 questions that can maybe help you. So yeah, whatever is the way you want to approach it.
Yes, I think this is a very general topic, and I would love to dive in some deeper questions. Again, everybody sees the topics for the call, so if you could bring your questions regarding to that topic, feel free to post them in the chat here. We'll get back to them. But I just want to give a quick introduction on why this is an important topic and why I think this is something that people should, really focus on learning. Aladdin, what's up, man? You feeling better? You feeling good? Nice. Communicating with confidence, I think, is something that does not only apply, obviously, to the content creation side of things and that sort of business, but it definitely plays a big role. And I think Paul probably also has a lot of value to add to that. So maybe we can also separate the task between the two, because it's not specifically to video creation, but I'd love to share some insights on how I talk to clients when I talk to them, and because at the end of the day, the goal should be, and that is kind of like my introduction, the goal should be to have the client trust you in what you do, right? And I think the first step to making this happen is to trust yourself, in a sense, in the best way possible, because again, you need to at least convey that confidence to the client, because if you're not even sure if you're going to make this whole thing work, the client will most certainly not think so either. But yeah, I don't know. Let's start in with the questions before I keep talking and actually focus on the stuff that people want to know.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, for the guys in the chat, feel free to stop me, interrupt me when you have your own question. And if you want, you can jump as well in video chat if you don't feel shy enough. So let's see the ones arrived. So I think that they are not in order. So it could be that the topics are kind of messed up. I try my best to put them in order, but so how do you set the stage for effective communication with clients at the start of a project to ensure a smooth feedback process? I think it's more related to the contract. Maybe you agree with them to proceed.
I would say to set up the stage and that is something that I think I've learned throughout the last projects that I've done, is getting as much information as possible in the beginning and getting a really good understanding of what it is that they're actually looking for, what is important for them, what is the stuff that they're getting really excited about, what is the stuff about your work that they may or may not have seen that really impresses them, that they would love to see you do for them. And really, I don't know, just getting a really good feel for how the client works, because every client works differently, but at the end of the day, they're all people, they're all human, and they all, especially when they work for a big company, they all still have their personal opinion and personal preference on who they work with. So I think the most important thing is to kind of when you're working on a project, is to first of all, understand what their role is. If I'm talking to a marketing person from an agency, I know that that person is not the one making the decisions, but that person will do whatever the client says, working with an agency like that. So for me, I would probably try to understand that their priority is to please the client. So from what I will do is understand what the client wants first, and then frame it in a way where I tell the agency that, hey, I've done my research, I take the kind of like weight off your shoulders a bit. I do understand what the client wants myself, and I tell them that the creative side of things I will take care of, and the only thing you'll need to do is deliver good quality work to the client. That means their role is fulfilled. They brought on a good content creator. They will be delivering good quality of work. So when they trust me, because I'm not going to be working with the client directly when I work with an agency, most of the time. So I don't know. That is kind of like understanding the person I talk to first, I would say. Understanding what it is that they want, and really focus on nailing it down, and then really making sure that I communicate that in the call. I can give an example for that, but I would love to maybe also hear your thoughts, Paul, because Paul has been working with tons and tons of clients. He's been in the industry, in a different industry, but he's been also, I don't think this question specifically to content creation, but I think just like, how do you set the stage for, a good sales call, for a successful sales call where the client says, that is the type of person we want to work with, that person we trust? And yeah.
Is this a question to me now?
Yes, it's more a question to you because you've been in the industry and worked with clients so many times.
When it comes to my kind of clients, it's more like we acquire them by ads, right? So they come to us because of they saw something we kind of developed before. We created a message market fit, and try to target their problem, and then they were kind of triggered, and then they kind of click on the ad, they click through the funnel, they got all the information, or we got all the information from the client, and then they booked their meeting, and then we just jump into the call, and then we are prepared by just having a sales script and a presentation ready, which is mostly, when you do agency work, mostly the same, because you kind of nail it down to one specific audience, right? And then you just do your stuff and ask your questions and guide the client through the same questions all the time and the same slide decks. And then in the end is actually just showing them, you have this problem, right? I have this solution. You can see this, right? Here's the proof, the results from other clients. So would you like to get this? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, then you have to pay. Done. So that's, I think it's kind of different to when it comes to selling your service as a content creator, or as an editor, for example, because agency work is kind of like, numbers are always important, like how much does it cost and so on, and like the client needs to see, okay, I invest now this amount of money, and what is my final result, what do I get in the end? And I think when it comes to creative work, that is sometimes not so specific and not so clear, right? So
I think so. And what I've also realized is, especially with creative work, with the stuff that I do, I can only take myself as an example, but having, the goal should be to have the client trust you, as I said, but it's a matter of how you communicate things, I would say, in order to make them, or, you can do a lot with how you say stuff, to make them trust you. Again, when they've seen your work, they are impressed by the stuff that you do, preferably, and they know that you can create cool stuff. Then it's up to you to make them believe that the quality you've done for other brands can be applied to what they're offering, to their service. If I take a car brand for an example, I've done a cool video for one car brand. That does not mean that this kind of video aligns with the vision that other car brand has. So if I go in and do a video for Porsche, and I'm approached by Mazda, for an example, they have completely different audiences. They have completely different target groups, right? And for me, when I sit in that call, it's really important that I, look at their website, look at what their vision is, look at what their design language is, how it differs from the video that I've done for Porsche, and going into that call and telling them, this is what I've done for Porsche, and we will create the same quality, but targeted to your beliefs, your, what you stand for, meaning this, and this, and that, because I've prepared it from their website before and I've looked it up and I'd be like, what makes Mazda different to Porsche? What makes BMW different to Porsche? What makes Mercedes different to BMW? All these different nuances is where they, really feel like they're being seen and they feel special without them having to tell me what their beliefs are. I think really goes a long way, which in a sales call like that, I think sets you apart a lot when you're not just a content creator who sits there and be like, yeah, I can do a cool video. What do you want? Rather being the guy and like, okay, we have this project, let's do something great together. What does that exactly mean? Because they don't have the creative vision, they might be interested, but they are not convinced yet, right? So your goal is to convince them. And if I come approach and be like, yo, this is what we do for them, but your brand is so much more special because it, it's completely different. And we will make sure that this video really aligns, even though it's just like a small nuance of like animation, whatever. I frame it in a way where they really feel set apart and really feel like being treated as their own client and not just a copy paste of me. I do car videos, so I can do a car video for that brand. Doesn't really matter to me, but for me, it's really important that when I work with a car company, I really don't care so much, right? If they pay enough and if the project is good, I will do a car video for them. But for them, it's a matter of like understanding that, this guy really takes the time to, have the understanding of what it is that we stand for. And I think this is like a good example of how you can develop confidence or convey confidence very fast to a client that is interested but not convinced yet, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Great. I think that also the second one is connected to this one anyway, in some way. The question was, can you share strategies for maintaining confidence even when receiving feedback that challenges your creative vision or ideas?
Mm-hmm. This is, so before I talked about trying to get the client to work with you. Now we're in the phase of, okay, the client has decided to work with you. You've done a video for them. You get feedback on it. And it may not be the feedback that you were hoping for. It may not be the feedback that you were expecting, but it is there and you need to, answer them to it. I think the biggest mistakes I've done in the past are just accepting their feedback right away, not giving any input back on it. Because at the end of the day, you need to understand that the people that are giving the feedback are usually not the ones that have the final decision. They just, do their job on giving feedback, and their job is to give feedback. So they will also most likely look for things that are, need to be changed so they can say that they've done their job. I've seen that with a bunch of companies now where there's just people sitting in there. They don't really care, but they need to look at the video. And if they just approve it, they don't really feel like they've done their job right, whatever. So first, I think advice would be to not take their feedback as like final is like, this needs to be done. Look at the stuff that you think, makes sense and really nail down and focus on the stuff that you can easily fix and will give them the feeling that they've done their job. For an example, when I have, for the Porsche video, for an example, I want to take this as an example because we had the feedback. The feedback originally was, we cannot make the logo, the city come out the logo, and this was one of the biggest unique selling points of that video. So when we got that feedback, we were like, yeah, we cannot skip that. Like if we do that, that whole concept will not work. The whole thing will not be the same thing. But they were like, yeah, but this is in our guidelines, this is whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then they had some additional feedback on, the car interior, the screen, blah, 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 stuff that is easy to fix, right? So I focused on that first and was like, okay, this is easy to fix. I could do that. So I will take their feedback. I will incorporate it, but I will also give my opinion on it back. Because at the end of the day, they approached me for my work. And in this case, Paul, obviously, because he was the one who also, was in touch with the client. But I was the one making the final decision on what it is that is cool. And we had a talk with them and they were essentially just doing their job. We have the guidelines here. It says, don't play with the logo and then, or don't make changes to the logo, whatever. So we kind of try to find a way in between where now the parts that are coming from the logo are actually, the same colors of the logo. Whereas before it was just a city building up from that. Didn't really make that big a difference in the final result. The effect was pretty much the same, but we incorporated their feedback and try to find like a way around it to make it work within their guidelines. They've done their job, they've done a cool video, and the whole thing performed really well. So I think this is a good example of like how we can go back with or giving your opinion on their feedback. I think this is something first advice. And then obviously it comes down to the product that you're doing for them. If they're paying you a lot of money to do certain changes to a video, or do a video for them that you're not even going to show in your portfolio, whatever. I've done jobs like that where I just did the changes and I was like, okay, I'm getting paid money for that, so I'll do it. But most important thing is to not have too many revisions. So I usually make sure that before I do any revisions, I make clear that every feedback that will be incorporated needs to be included now. Otherwise, they will need to charge you extra. Because, from experience, I've fallen into the trap of delivering the second version, getting another feedback on it. I was like, but this is something we could have changed before. But then I was in a situation where I've already done the changes and I was not, confident enough to tell the client, this is something we could have done before, because at the end of the day, they want the changes, right? So making clear that you're in charge of the timeline and you can communicate it in a way where you're like, in order to meet the deadline, we need to have all feedback in place now. Every feedback that will be in here after this first revision that is free in the quote will be charged extra and will affect the deadline. That will mean that you will, be completely transparent, but it also gives you the, confidence in standing that you are the one in charge of the timeline. You are the one who decides, because at the end of the day, they type in their feedback and then their work is done. You get the feedback and you need to incorporate that feedback, right? So you are the one that is kind of like in that position that needs to have that control. I think these are the two main feedback. Someone, can we read that? I have a hard time talking and reading at the same time.
Yeah, I'd say sometimes I make an experiment with clients when they give me the feedback that is ridiculous. As you said, some people need to give feedback because it's their job. I send them the same video a few days later without any changes. In most cases, the video is accepted.
Can work. I would say that this, can be,
I'm wondering what does mean ridiculous in this case? Like,
I mean,
I don't understand what it means.
I think ridiculous in that case means that sometimes the feedback that they give is like useless. And I've had that so many times before where the changes were like so minimal, or there was like certain things that made no difference. Aladdin is nodding his head. Everybody has that, where the feedback is like, makes no sense, makes no difference in the whole like appearance of the video. We need this to be red instead of blue, this but then I also evaluate how much am I going to, push and put work into making them believe that my vision is better than theirs and my initial approach is better. Because usually sometimes I also find that sometimes it's good to have like a second opinion on it, a second unbiased opinion that just looks at it and they see stuff that I don't see because I've worked on the video for so long. So sometimes, usually when they give feedback, the video ends up being better. But sometimes when I really know that certain things are really good the way I've done them, I make sure that I don't, just accept it and do it, but I try to find a way in between, because it comes down to the feedback. But I think the most important thing that people struggle with is just accepting feedback as it comes, and they just feel like their position is to, be the one to use the tools. But your ultimate position as a content creator should be the expert who knows better than them, right? And if there are certain guidelines, especially with a bigger corporate company, you need to be aware that certain things will be okay, certain things will not be okay, that you cannot know before, which is why they're not blaming you for it, but they will inform you about it. And if that's something you can easily change, do it. If you don't, and you think this affects the whole video, I will fight for it and fight for it in a way where I really make sure that I am the expert here. I am the one you approached, you wanted my creative vision, and I say, this is better. So, and then usually they'd be like, okay, but can we find a way in between? And then we kind of talk about it. And then, but at the end of the day, if you just take their feedback and do it and don't give any input back on it, then we're back at the topic of communicating with confidence. You are the expert. You should know better. And if they usually also appreciate it when you give feedback on their feedback, because they're like, maybe this is not that good because they're not the expert. You know what I mean? And that also means that you are in control of the project and you know what you're doing. I think is really, really important when handling client feedback. And again, really making sure that you are in charge of the timeline. You are the one making it. You are the one who will be delivering the final video.
So I think that something connected to this could be, I'm trying to find the logic between what you're saying and what they ask for. So here there is, what's your favorite tool for sharing revision with client, having their feedback written on it, and how you handle the rounds of feedback when a project gets complex? Do you have any hacks you recommend to manage the process, or it's only a back and forth during meeting, or how do you approach to this kind of stuff?
I guess I usually play we need to take the timeline into account card because usually they have their timelines, and timelines matter a lot when working with big companies, which is also something that I needed to learn, that most of the time meeting a deadline is more important than delivering a perfect video. Do you know what I mean? Because that is something they cannot control. And if I get a revision that I know will take a lot of work on my end and will not make that big of a difference and will probably not be that big of a change for the whole video, I play this is the timeline that we have. This is how I structured the whole thing. I've given you certain, previews for approval before, which is also a good hack, to have certain things be approached beforehand. So you can always go back to that and be like, we have approved the screen before I rendered the scene. So I just sent over a screenshot. If I have, if I talk directly to a client, then it's sometimes a bit different because they usually don't have the time to look at every single step. But especially when you're working with an agency, which happens most of the time when you're working with bigger companies, have them approve certain things before you render them. That is, especially when you're working with 3D, you will bite your ass if you don't do that. I've done that with the Porsche video. So we sent over the screen, is this screen texture okay? And then they were like, okay. And that eliminates the chance of them going back and be like, yo, can we change the screen texture? This is not right. I'll be like, no, this won't work. Not for free, because we've approved it before. I will need to re-render, look at the timeline, boom. You are ahead of things, and you are the one who is also overlooking the timeline and overlooking your capacities. Because I can do all-nighters to finish a deadline or meet a deadline. Is that something I want to do? No. Is that something I need to do sometimes? Yes. Am I trying to eliminate that possibility to do that as much as possible? Yes. That is why I have a lot of stuff approved before I finally render something, but also not too much where, I put myself in a position where I don't feel confident enough in the final product that I'm doing. If I have every single step approved before I render the final thing out, then, I'm giving them more control than I should have about the final video. But yeah, I think making sure that you don't have too many feedback rounds, unless agreed on before. If we want at least 5 revisions included in the price, make sure you price accordingly, because they can take up a lot of time and really stress on your mind. I've been in that situation many, many times.
And do you have a way that maybe persuade them to present your middle result? You were saying about the preview, right? So
yes. I have a really good one for this one. And this is something I have learned through a moderator that I have worked with before. He gave me a lot of input on how to deal with clients and how to present projects to them. And I don't know about you, but I have been in that position where when I deliver something, I usually just sent a message and then I was like, here's the final video. Let me know your thoughts, without any reaction to it. Just like, here's the video. And then I expect like excitement and, from then, and it should be like here's the video, look at it. And they should be like, yo, well, this is so cool. We love it. This can be pretty tricky. And there's a very easy way to minimize that, where when you deliver a project and you send an email to them with the final video, for example, be excited about what you've created, because that makes such a big difference. And that was such a game changer advice for me. When I deliver a project, I say stuff like, here's the final video, guys. I think it turned out so well. I'm so happy that we incorporated and managed to, make the brand look in a certain way. And I love the way we put out this together, and, just get excited about the whole process of working with them, which will mean that they will have a harder time being like, this is actually not really what we've wanted, because this will just, it's just basic human understanding. That's
like you set the mood. It's like setting the mood, right?
Something, you will not, or you will have a harder time being like, this is not that great. And also, we'll give the whole different image on the whole video. If there's like a pre-excitement for you, like, oh, he loves what he just created for us. When I get a tattoo by a tattoo artist, and that tattoo artist goes, yep, here's your tattoo. Boom. I'm like, I want to hear from him that, oh, bro, this turned out so cool. I love it. Even though even if he doesn't think that is his best work, I want to feel like we've created something special together from him, because he's the one who put out the work, right? And this is a super easy thing you can incorporate when you're delivering stuff, and made such a big difference, honestly. Super small thing, but big difference. Communicating with confidence, basic human understanding. Humans work with humans, and if humans get excited, other humans get excited too. Less likely to give negative feedback on something.
It's like a mentalist that is asking you a question, knowing already what you're going to ask, like like setting the mood for what you're going to show, right? So if you are the first one that enjoys your own work, obviously it will be contagious, and you are going to influence, right? So the rest of the people.
Get them excited first. Yeah.
We have also a question from Miko. So it says, question to Lenny. When you get the client like Porsche, they saw your video on Instagram, contacted with you about collaboration, etc. And what's the pre-production process? They give you free hand to your vision. You need to give them mood board, storyboard. How you show them your idea?
Yes. The way I now work, I think, has changed a lot from when I worked back with them. But I think getting a good understanding of how to present stuff in a way where other people see it and understand it is like a really useful skill. Meaning you should learn how to do good pitch decks, especially when the campaigns are bigger, larger, and the budget is bigger. You want to have as much creativity and as much creative flexibility on your work as possible. I do that. Some people don't want to do that, but I want that, which is why I try to prepare something that feels not too specific, but feels like enough for them to understand that I have a vision. Do you know what I mean? They don't necessarily need to understand every single transition that I want to do. I just need like the confirmation that they trust me. And, I've worked with brands where they were like, when they talked about my project and my concept, they were like, honestly, bro, we have no idea what you're going to create, but we trust you because they've seen the other work. But that is harder to achieve. And, putting in a bit more work to, creating a piece like that, I immediately give them a better understanding that I have a clear vision. Just knowing that I am in charge of stuff. I'm thinking if I can show like a pitch deck of mine that I now do, this would probably be very useful. I'm not sure if I am allowed to though.
Just go ahead and use the one for which you created for Honestly, for example. This one is pretty good.
Yeah, this one is pretty good, but it's less of a creative pitch deck. Is more of a service pitch deck, because I think this one is specifically to pitching a creative idea, right?
Maybe the one that you used, I think Aladdin told me that the one that you used during the first launch of the subscription of the paid community. I think you had one that was super creative. I don't know what did you use. But...
Yes.
I don't know the others, so I only know that one.
I will not, because I was thinking if I should, because I have like a bunch of projects I am currently running, but I don't want to get in trouble with NDAs and stuff, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I now use 3D tools a lot because I'm very fast in Blender. I'm sorry that I, tease it and now I'm not doing it, but this is like, I don't want to get in trouble with this. So, I use 3D tools like Blender, for an example, to create like a scenery and like camera angles that I try to get. And if I don't have that specifically mapped out yet, I use references, a lot of references that look cool. That just the presentation needs to look appealing to them. This makes a big difference. And if they think that whatever that guy is going to do, we like a certain piece on that, that presentation that he just showed as reference, he will do something cool with it. We've seen his other work for other brands. We trust him, rather than me sitting there and be like, yeah, we'll create this. And then the transformation will go like this. And then it will be crazy and they will not understand. And it's harder to have them trust you. But I'm thinking if I should just share like a little, I think I can actually do that. I think I can share this one real quick. So okay, I'll just share a little.
We're just gonna cut it out in the end, like in the recording.
Yes, I think so. So everybody who's in here, I'm just gonna share. So for the project that I've done with BMW, I will show you the one of the slides that I've done as reference. And this is really, you probably expect something completely different, but I just want to show you real quick what I've prepared. So the pitch deck that I also presented to the client was, I think we had a bunch of different videos, but this is the pitch deck that I've done for them, okay? And as for the creative video, this is actually really funny to show because this is what the initial pitch for the creative video looked like. And I structured it in a way where, can you see that screen, by the way? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
I structured it in a way where I knew exactly what I wanted to say to that specific presentation. And I knew from the get-go that they would probably not really understand what this is, right? This looks very shitty and not that professional. I would probably do it differently now. I've actually done it differently with the upcoming Mazda project, but I cannot show that right now. But this is like, a very bad, very rough storyboard. But I've included some of the references that they liked, some of the stuff that they approached me for, as the Porsche transition, for an example, and then some references of like shooting locations that we were going to approach either way. So they feel like this campaign is specifically targeted to them and that video idea is specifically for them. And me sitting there and having like a mapped out idea of what the video will look like, even though this is not final. If I look at it now, like the video turned out completely different, but they approved it and they were like, okay, this is enough for us to have trust in what this person will deliver. Do you know what I mean? Like this was enough for them to understand that I have a vision, and I shared it with so much excitement and like ideas, but I also was able to show something and show them that I've mapped something out. And there's something going on in my mind that maybe they don't 100% understand, but they know that I have a vision and they've seen other work from me and they know it will work, which is why this was enough. So this is just a rough idea, and maybe I can show you a little. I've not signed anything for this other one, so I can maybe show you this one real quick. This is for another company. This is a creative idea, and I actually used like some 3D images for what I wanted to do. So I mapped out a scene in 3D and did like a little storyboard of me, what the scene will look like, and like a rough description. And I also included why this video will work and what will be required from their end. So I'm not going to go too much into detail, but this is like, I use 3D tools now a lot for mapping out stuff, but having a good mood board in mind, and also being able, because now we're back at the topic at communicating with confidence. If I sit in a call with a client and I'm able to like tell them that, yo, I have a presentation ready, do you want to see it? And it looks somewhat professional, it looks kind of cool, I immediately feel how I feel so much more secure because I have something prepared. And this takes like, I don't know, an hour to do, but helps me, especially with bigger clients, to convey that trust in the work that I do a lot more, supports me. I feel a lot more confident with it. So yeah. I hope I did not get in trouble for that one, but I don't think so.
So yeah, I see that someone was saying genius, maybe.
Genius.
Yeah. Sometimes this happens to me when I'm working on a project and there is no advance payment taken before starting the project. And if they give me some changes after approving and rendering the video, I still have to change that as I cannot say no, because they will just say, okay, we haven't paid you, so now we don't need this. We get this done from someone else. Now, as I learned this, I have started asking for advance payment for the new clients, so this doesn't happen again. Yeah, it's a lesson learned every time, I think. So the more you experience new client, also new way to approach objection, and also the new way to approach the future customer to avoid that to happen, right?
Yes, this is something you should make very clear from the start, and especially when you're doing it with bigger clients and bigger budgets, make sure that there's a contract in place, a contract that really nails down the deliverables, that also handles, obviously advanced payment is like preferred, but again, make sure that you have agreed on everything beforehand, so you can always go back to that. And in written form, that is something I've also learned, because nothing is worse than them saying like, oh, you know what, actually we might fight someone else for this. No, this is not what we agreed on. And yes, you need to make sure, like, you need to get out of the position as the guy who, or the girl who does the video and is like the person who can use the tools. You need to be the creative they trust and they hire for that person being the creative director. I nowadays am, outsourcing a lot of my work to other freelancers that do the stuff for me, that handle creative, that handle like technical side stuff. But the client talks to me because they know that I will be the one delivering the project, and I am the expert, and I'm, it's all about positioning you at that point and really making sure. And it's like little things when you're, I want to give one more example. When I sit in a call, I will be the first one to tell them when we have certain deadlines and when we have certain meetings, because I know better about the timeline than they do. If I wait for them to tell me, can we get the first draft by then, then I can only say, yeah, this may or may not work, or I get stressed and I just, agree to that. And then I have a bunch of it doesn't work timeline wise. Whereas when I come in and be like, okay, guys, let's talk about the timeline. I will deliver the first draft by then. I will do this by then. I will do that by then. We will have the second meeting then. All about directing within your power, because you essentially are the person that has complete control over how the video will be produced, how this video will be edited, when it will be delivered. We agree on a final timeline, and from there on, it's up to you how you structure the whole process, and make sure you calculate enough time. That is also one big thing, and leave enough room to make revisions and all that stuff. I've also learned that a lot hard way, and I've been in that position of being the one who they be like, yo, Lenny, we need the first version by next week. And I'm sitting there, we're like, I haven't even started, and then I can only beg for more time, which does not look good. Or I can say, yeah, we can do it. And then they'd be like, okay, Lenny executes what we say. Neither of those positions is what you want to be in, You want to be the guy that says, okay, Lenny told us that we will see the first draft by then, so we'll not bother him with feedback before that because he said that he will deliver it by then. This is like different way of like, managing the timeline and being in charge of the timeline, taking responsibility for the timeline. So yeah.
I have another question as well, because some of them were like in a way covered by what you were telling right now also before. So this one maybe. In your experience and talking about communication still, how important is to educate your clients about your design process, your entire creation process, and how do you go about doing this without diminishing their input? Yeah, sometimes maybe it's a person older than you, just to give you some example that they give me, right? So obviously because this is a person that is a senior one, you don't want to say what you said is completely wrong. But I have another way to proceed, maybe compared to the other creator or the other company you worked with before. So how you handle this kind of situation while explaining the process?
So I understand that question, right? The question was how to...
So how is it important for you to educate clients about your way to your creative process, your design process? So, for example, the slides that you showed before, right? So you have your own approach to the creation phase. It could be that initially you share the storyboard, then you share a preview, then you make some little changes, and then you deliver. Maybe in the very beginning you got this client, I see here some example, and he has already an approach with somebody else, and you are maybe the 5th person he was working with, maybe the 10th person, and so he says this is more experience and he has this structure, and so I prefer to go in that direction. And how you handle these kind of situations?
Yes, I think there are certain things you need to, every client is different, and I am someone who adapts to the way they work. For an example, if a certain client works with a certain software for deliverables, especially for bigger companies, sometimes that's the case. They have like certain ways to name certain things and like needs to be uploaded here and blah, blah, blah. It can be very annoying, but is specific to that client. So I will not be the person to sit there and be like, this is not how I work. I will be able to adapt to that and deliver what I have to do. What I do not change is my way of presenting my ideas, my way of my kind of video style. Because if I change that really does not put a good light on myself. If I don't sit there with confidence in the stuff that I do and how I do it, and don't have a clear plan on how I do stuff, then it feels like I don't really know what I'm doing. So as an example, I'm approached by Mazda, a car brand that wants 2 videos. That is their initial, we want you to create 2 videos for us. From that point on, I understand that, and within the next meeting, first of all, we agree on like budget and everything, and then second meeting is me telling them how this whole process will run from start to finish. I will say, okay, I need this and that information from your side. I will need the 3D data, and I will need this much time to check if it's correct. I will give you feedback by then. We will have the next meeting by that time. And then I obviously ask for like certain deadlines, when certain stuff needs to be approved, how long it will take to deliver certain stuff from their side. But then again, it's back to me directing then, okay, I will need the car in here. And then, it kind of also takes like the weight off their shoulders, because they will only need to know when they will need to do what. And that I've learned that is that works really well when you have like, but this obviously comes with experience, right? You do need, and I'm certainly not, in the industry for like years and years to come, where I sit there and be like, this is how I've worked for like 10 years. I will always adapt to what they need, but there will be certain learnings that I've done from the past, and I always compare it to other projects that I've done before. So for an example, when I look for 3D data, I don't say that, okay, I need 3D data. What can you deliver? But I will say I will need this format in order to be able to achieve the first product by then. If I don't get it by then, I always work with other clients in that way. If we don't do it that way, we can adapt to that, but we might need to adjust the timing a bit, because, I'm able to adapt, but we do need to calculate certain times, because this is how I work and this is how we can work together. There's like I obviously don't come in rude and be like, no, my way is the right way, but I have enough trust in my work and also convey that sense of trust to them in the call and like my way of talking about the whole process, that they will be like, okay, we trust this guy with this project and he will know what's right. At the end of the day, if I have it all mapped out, that's the question. I usually don't. But sometimes the timing I do is wrong, and like I sit there and have to do an all-nighter to actually meet the deadline because I didn't calculate enough time. But it comes down to nailing the timeline at the end of the day. And if I have calculated enough time, it's good. If I don't, then I know better for the next one, But I always make sure that I come in with enough confidence in my way of working that they really understand it and feel it. And there's no questions being asked about like, we need an earlier version by then. No, not possible. Otherwise, everything is possible with enough budget. But usually, I don't talk about budget after we've agreed on anything. I will certainly not sit there and be like, "Yo, this costs more." This is very stupid thing to say. Usually comes across very unprofessional, because they don't like to talk about budget after you've agreed on budget. As soon as budget is agreed on, take that budget. Don't talk about the budget anymore. It's out of the world. We've agreed on it. You're happy with it. They are fine with it. Let's focus on the stuff that excites them. The video. Let's make a cool video. Don't talk about budget anymore. Yeah.
Tadbik wrote as well, for this Porsche's video, what was the timeline given to the client?
The specific Porsche video, the timeline given to the client, I don't exactly remember. I know it was not enough. I certainly did not calculate enough time on how much the render would actually take. I was sitting there about to cry because the render was taking too long. But I think it was like, for that one video, 2 weeks maybe after the other ones that we've done for them, which in the future I would definitely use more time for. But again, it was a learning experience. It was my first time doing a project with Porsche. It was my first time working with a model of that scale and size and like complexity. So I didn't really know, but now I know better. So now for the next coming projects, I calculate enough time. Can you share that presentation you did for the launch of the motion creators? I think so. Can we, Paul? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. It was a presentation on pitch.com. Great software for presentations and pitches.
The best one. Made in
100%. Really good. Yeah, that one also involved a lot of storytelling in the beginning. So yeah.
It was actually more like a webinar, not like a pitch deck.
It was
true. Storytelling, yeah.
More of a webinar, having the viewer understand. Yeah. So cool. Yeah, push to have more time, but also, what I've also realized regarding, like, in regards to timing and like deadlines and stuff, I realize that now when I work with a CG team, I understand what is needed, right? I understand what is needed in order to make the final product work. So I'm kind of like now often find myself in a position where I'm in between. I'm in between the CG guys that could take 3 weeks just for perfecting one frame. And I'm sitting between the client who has their deadlines, right? So I need to find a good balance in communication with the client and also in communication with the CG team. Because if I come in to the CG team and tell them that, yo, we need this by tomorrow, I know this will not work. This will piss them off. I know how much time it takes to do certain things. So I need to find a good balance in between now for some of my projects where I involve other people, where I calculate enough time, but don't give them too much time to, nail down like the smallest details. I really make sure that I look over their shoulder and be like, this is not important, skip that, focus on that, really directing what is important. Because at the end of the day, they might want to take more time with certain things, but I will certainly know better how much time we actually need to spend on certain things to keep the deadline in mind, right? This is like 2 things you need to keep in mind. And then sometimes if the timeline is too tight, first thing I think about is not, oh shit, I didn't calculate enough time, I cannot make it happen, I need to ask the client for more time. No, first thing I think about is what in my process of doing the video can I, make more efficient, skip, do in a different way that saves me the time to deliver the timeline. Because at the end of the day, everybody can deliver something great. It's a matter of when you can deliver it and delivering it at the end. Because again, time is money and time is one of the most valuable things out there. I could sit there and spend 3 months on a Porsche video and deliver it. I do not get that amount of time. And they will most certainly not pay the budget for that time frame. They will be like, can you make it happen? I say yes, or I say no. And then it's up to me how I do the project or to make it happen. Yeah. Yes.
We are all waiting to see the presentation then.
Oh, waiting for the presentation. Yes, sorry, I can do that.
I was thinking you're doing it. Okay.
No.
Anyway. Okay,
are you gonna do it, or you want me to do it?
I just gonna update some stuff here in the community.
Okay, let me do the presentation real quick. Do you want me to go over it or share it with the link with you guys? I mean, we can kind of like.
I think both of them works. Yeah, indeed.
Let's go over it together, like a little bit.
I remember that presentation. That was the sickest presentation I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Yeah, we were convinced on being here because of that. So
This I think is, I mean, it's a long presentation, right? But I think the way we tried, this is a bit different from obviously, this is obviously different from a pitch deck or like a concept art that you share with a client. This is more of this is not like a award-winning structure of like a presentation. But the way we wanted to structure this presentation is to give the viewer like a personal connection to what we're actually talking about, which is why we've built the whole thing around a story. And this story was my story, so it was very convenient because I knew that story. So we actually used some goofy images from me back in the days, and kind of, I don't know, talked about my my experiences, my stories, my struggles, especially my struggles, because we wanted to make sure we pointed out like the key things that people are struggling with, and try to find a story that relates to that, and where they can really see that there's someone else who has been there, who is not there anymore, but really make them be, so they can relate to that story. So I don't know if I should go through the whole thing, but I think the main thing is like there's a story to it. So we have like this whole part of me talking about how I developed, how I, started to try things, like started different tricks on social media. Nothing worked. Consistency is key. That's bullshit. This is like kind of just following like a hero's journey in a sense. First. And then we could go over like storytelling in a different call as like a whole different topic. But I think telling a good story, as we talked about in the last call, one of the last calls, I think is like, no matter what it is that you're doing, telling a story always has a great impact on, convincing people with something.
It's actually a good point, because Lenny and I, we both never did a webinar. We just did it. Like, we thought, okay, it's kind of crazy, it's kind of cool, it's kind of entertaining, and so on. And afterwards, I did a little bit more research, and I found some pretty nice ways to kind of frame things, to make it more psychology stuff wise, to make people stick to the webinar and so on. And based on what he's showing now, I just tested today a new tool. We just got introduced yesterday to it, where I just used a video of specific people that are pretty good into webinars, and just uploaded this video into this AI tool. And then the AI tool is now giving me an exact structure of how to kind of structure a webinar to keep things entertaining and nice for people to watch if they stick to the webinar. So if you guys want to have this kind of structure in text form, I can give it to you and share it in the community if you want. There's I just found it today, and I think it's pretty cool. If you want, just text me here in the comments, and then I'm gonna share it in the community tab.
Yeah, because again, this one was very much kind of like, this was our first time doing a webinar. We would probably do a lot of things differently, especially the product pitch at the end, kind of breaking it down. So the whole story ends with us breaking down the biggest pain points essentially that we're trying to solve with motion creators. And as the product obviously has evolved and changed, we will probably do the next webinar a bit different. But yeah, I think this was like more of a product pitch of what Motion Creator stands for. Again, this was older, like this is the first launch kind of. But yeah, that was that presentation. I think we would change a lot of it if we do it again. Bro, this is such a crazy picture, man. Holy shit. All right, cool. Yeah, I think it's so cool that you liked it though.
Yeah, and I think we cover all of them. I don't have any question anymore. Most of them were similar anyway, so you cover them easily. Mm-hmm. But all of them were like touch base anyway, talking about your way to communicate and your way to handling specific situations. So
I just want to kind of like summarize, because we have had like a lot of talk now, and I kind of want to summarize, like try to summarize the biggest things to that topic. First thing is understanding that confidence doesn't come with the snap of a finger. Confidence comes from doing certain mistakes, learning from them, and growing from them. And experience is what develops confidence. You should try to put yourself, when I'm talking about this stuff, it's about like client work and like positioning, because this is like the main thing we're talking about here. But when you sit in a call with someone and you want them to trust you, trust in yourself first, and trust that you will figure out solutions for certain problems, and also give them the feeling that you are in charge of the whole thing. That is something that, I think comes, like, there's so much that comes with it when you are the one, and they see you as the one who's in charge of the project. It will not be, Lenny, do this and that. It will be, Lenny, can we do da 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 da? It's like difference in how they approach you, and this should be the ultimate position you should be in. This is what I've been told by so many people before, and what I've really tried to nail down is that from the first moment I talk to the client, I try to put myself in that position, and make sure that we're on that level. We're equals. They're the client. I respect their input, but just as much as I respect their input, they should respect my creative vision, the trust in my abilities. This should be the standpoint. Should be an even though they're the one paying you, you're the one doing it for them. They want it. So that, I think, is the biggest point. And one big hack, again, this is really specific, but this is something that helped me so much. I want to point it out again. Get excited about your stuff. Excitement conveys so much more than just excitement. You know what I mean? It conveys trust. It conveys, good times. They're, at the end of the day, people sitting in that call. So I don't know. It's something you cannot fake. It's not something you can learn, but I usually get very excited when I talk about stuff that I present to people, whereas also something like make them have a good time. Look at how they look when you present certain things. And if you get excited about yourself, they will probably also get excited about the project. And if you deliver it to them, show that you've done something great here. Tell them that the project with them was amazing. Just give them the feeling of like they're special, they're seen, they're awesome. They're, the whole thing is like good vibes always. And obviously you cannot be always good vibes. There needs to be like objective feedback and stuff that needs to be adjusted. But, do it with a level of excitement and ground positivity, because people will not remember you based off your results. People will, bro, I'm trying to put a good quote on here, but it's really good one, because people will remember the way you made them feel, and what the experience with you working was like. And if that was a great experience, they will probably not remember the little details within complications here, not meeting a deadline here, that they will forget. But if you gave them a good experience and the whole thing was a great project, they loved working with you, they will probably come back and do that again. That is something that I always kept in mind when I work with clients, not to focus on the stuff that went wrong, but to really make sure that the whole experience itself was a good one. And that helped me a lot, I think. Cool. Positivity, guys. Positivity always goes a long way.
Yep, it helps to create more also momentum, right? So
yeah, you should be the one that starts that momentum. They're corporate. They sit in the call with like, yeah, we need to do a marketing campaign for our product. Okay, let's do something great. This is gonna be the sickest thing you've ever seen. Don't overdo it, because it needs to be, come across as genuine. But yeah, I think it comes with.
But if you look at people like Peter McKinnon, right? So he also overdo the stuff. I mean, even at being super emotional, it's a characteristics of you that he will remember. So
yeah, exactly. Just emotions is what stay. Results probably stay too. Complications go when the results take over. If you're the guy who's just like, I do this, okay, approved, boom, 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 then you'll be forgotten. But yeah, that should not be the goal. Cool. We've hit the 1 hour mark. I think we've answered all the questions. I hope that was some good input, man. I don't really prepare for these calls. I just usually think of what I think of on the spot, but I don't know if that's good. I cannot really tell that, but if this is good input, I would like to keep it that way. If not, we can also just, prepare like a talk, or people come in, ask more questions? I don't really know. Whatever you guys prefer.
Yeah, I think it works. I mean, at least it also has some flow, so it's perfect.
Awesome.
It was seriously informative as a feedback. So
cool. That makes me happy. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Manuela, for preparing the questions, and Aladdin for joining, and also everybody else for joining. I'm super excited. We're super excited to show you what Motion Creators 2.0 will look like. It will be awesome. Again, reminder to use the affiliate link if you have more people that we want to bring into the community, and make sure of the draw board, guys. Please do.
Thanks, and see you next time. And I will collect your next questions because you were too shy today to ask other questions related to this topic. So let's see what it comes.
Come on, guys. More questions, more answers.
Yep.
Let's go. Thank you so much for today, guys. See you next week, latest. All right.
Bye-bye.
Cool. Stop the recording. And upload is